And we are live. So I'm going to fire up the Instagram and get this rolling. Got a few things to report. This will be an interesting one today. So, a few things to report. So this is going to be like, I'm going to title this one a little strange. This is going to be pretty much somewhat fucked up shit that's happened to me this weekend and beyond. So, and we'll talk about the giveaway and Jesse Smollett and a bunch of other things, but this is just a little bit of a Sunday rant recording session. So to give you an idea of how my weekend or week, or it's best to say how my Friday started off. I went to see the terrible Captain Planet, Captain Marvel, which I'm sure all of you have seen by now. It's not terrible, but you heard my take on it the other day, and I'm sure I'll get feedback from everybody on Captain Marvel. I can't believe I said Captain Planet. Anybody who knows shows their age on that one. But there's a few things I want to touch on. So I had a very trying experience Saturday. So I'm kind of been on my own this weekend, packing, getting ready to move, do a few things. And Frenny, we can get to the holster. That'll weave into this no problem, but I want to talk about my Saturday real quick. So I go to see Captain Marvel, not Captain Planet. And I'm kind of like, fuck, you know, all right, let me go see this stupid thing. And that was okay. Saturday I decide, you know, it's like lunchtime, let me go get a hamburger at this local place that I like. And if anybody's been out here, they know what I mean. So I'm like, go to this spot. So I order my hamburger and I get a burger to go, which I tend to do, and I'll eat another one when I come home or whatever. So I sit down and I get, you know, everything laid out perfectly, and I turn around for 1 second and go to get a refill on my drink. And the waiter there went to the table, wiped my table down, and threw all my shit out. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So when I turned around and I had everything in my hands, he could see that look in my eye, like I had that crazy look like, yo, you just threw my food away. You just threw my food away. Like, no, you didn't. So he saw I had the eye of the tiger. He knew it was coming. Okay? That was my Saturday. Not a good look. So it's been a up and down weekend. Long story short, though, Frenny, he replaced everything. He gave me a brand new hamburger. He gave me a brand new to-go, and he reimbursed me the money. So the guy made good, but he knew. He knew it was a mistake. So I'm sure by now most of you have seen Captain Marvel or are going to see it. I'm really curious what you guys have to think about it. Please comment either in the last one or this one. I've had a couple days to digest it, and that's where I'm at. I'm just kind of touching on a bunch of different topics today. And, Frenny, we'll get to the holster. We'll see what you guys think. More or less, so Saturday I attempted to connect with Frenny at some point. We were going to talk about Serpa Holsters. He's got an issue with Serpa Holsters. I love Frenny to death. I didn't have the heart to tell him that 2009 called and they outlawed Serpa Holsters 10 years ago. But I let him rant anyway because it was fun. And I knew I'd talk about it today and I would give him shit. I already gave all my Captain Marvel spoilers. Captain Marvel sucked. That's my spoiler. So, you know, long story short, I want to say this about the Serpa holster, and I want to put the Serpa holster thing to bed. Nobody should be using Serpa holsters, okay? The reason that they even still exist or they get glamorized or popularized is you see morons in movies and in movie trailers wear them because they have that little bit of retention where they can wear them on Molly pretty easily. But nobody should be wearing Serpa holsters, okay? Yeah, those dudes are 100, Frenny. they're 100. And when they shoot themselves in the leg, and if they're younger guys still wearing them, you should just grab them by the hand and say, come with me. And you should take them to Cabela's. Because no one should be running a Serpa holster. You look like a moron. I think I have one still somewhere, and the only reason I have it is because I shaved off the hook inside it. I was too cheap to buy another one because it was for like an obscure gun I happen to have. So, yeah, you can Dremel out the hook. But I had an interesting Saturday night. I said, let me pack, and I was going through some things, and I was feeling nostalgic, and I just want to say, anytime, and this is for all you guys out there, anytime you don't feel like, I guess this is going to sound, I don't know how it'll sound. It's not meant to sound bad. Anytime you feel like you're down, I guess is the best way to put it, and you go through and you pack, or you're moving again, let me tell you something. You realize just how blessed your life is and how much good you have in your life and how much good you have going for you. So, besides the comedy of the Serpa Holsters and Captain Marvel, while I was packing this weekend and I was packing some things and I was getting nostalgic, and a lot of people, I don't know if people view that as a sad experience or a good experience. I don't know. But I think it's a great time to view a lot of your blessings. And I think, I'm going to say something that a lot of guys will relate to, especially in the firearms business. You should have to pack a lot. And by that, I mean not literally a lot of stuff, but you should have to pack often. Anybody who hasn't moved or had a stretch of time where they've moved 3 or 4 times in a 5-year span, you learn a lot about yourself when you move. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a really good thing. I think it's a definite positive. So I encourage a lot of people. I know time goes on and people don't have the advantage to do this. And I'm getting a little, the term I like to use is long in the tooth, where, I can't keep moving and I can't, I eventually want to settle in somewhere. And I'm getting to that point. But I think moving's a good thing. And I think people should move. And if you don't have the opportunity to move, and people say, well, I have a job, and I know, like, Frenny, you got a good gig. But this is why I'm a huge advocate of everybody should try college once. Everybody should try, like, a month-long vacation. You know what I mean? And don't give me that shit that you can't do it and you can't get the time off. You can. You can. I don't believe, and I know this is going to sound very Andy Frisella, and I'm not trying to sound Andy Frisella. And I'm not trying to sound like Tony Robbins. You can do anything you want. I laugh at myself a little on the inside saying that, but it's true. Like, Mike, if you want to move on a mass, then fucking move on a mass. Pack your shit up. Tell them your lease is done. Don't tell me about the dog. Don't tell me about the girlfriend. Don't tell me about the cat. I know how big mass is. You can go right over the line, brother. And you can be right back over. You can do it. It can be done. Anything's possible. I know that's like the hokey, we're at the 10-minute mark of me recording this episode, and it's supposed to be Sunday Funday. At least that's what I'm titling it, and I'm going over a bunch of things. But it's true. I don't care if you've been through police life, academy life, deployment life, boot camp life, job search life, travel life. Moving's a good thing. Move. Move often. Okay? Travel. I know a lot of people don't take a lot of vacations. I never did. I took a lot of workations. Okay? And a lot of my workations, I'm not from Brockton. I would take these workations and would travel so much that when I came home, it was like a feeling of being home. But I was never afraid to move. But you should do it. Don't be afraid to take an extended vacation every couple of years, every 2 or 3 years. Like, really, when you get outside of that second or third week of vacation, that's when you really start to find yourself. BB was just in here. I text him, Friday, whatever. I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, going up into the mountains, man. You need those fresh reboots. You need those restarts where you put the social media down, you put the phone down, you put the stuff away, and you reboot. So the couple days that you don't see me on here or the times you don't see me posting, like, I don't do a lot on Instagram anymore. I do my stories and stuff like that, but I don't do a lot on Instagram. I have my theories on Instagram, and they're my theories. It's still there. It's still nice, and I have my theories. And if you want to win the Canic pistol, make sure you go comment, tag everything on my YouTube. I'll write it down here. Not off the grid necessarily. Not off the grid. Off the grid's not necessary. Not necessarily off the grid. Doesn't have to be off the grid. It does not have to be off the grid. Off the grid's nice, but it doesn't have to be. It can be semi off the grid, Go to bed, leave the phone in the kitchen. Take your lady with you. Go do whatever. Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean, Will. It can be like a semi off the grid scenario. I'll take what I can get. You know what I mean? Off the grid means for me, I'm only answering the phone if it rings. Okay? If you text me, I might not answer. That's what off the grid means for me. Off the grid for me means, I'm going to kind of put the phone away, not checking texts that often, not checking emails. I'm kind of just letting shit come in. That's a good approach to take. But everybody needs that. And it's not just about a reboot. It's about a little bit of soul searching. It's a little bit about finding yourself and finding your niche. It's good. And back to my packing. So I've been packing, and I've had a really good experience packing, and it's really healthy going through things and kind of doing kind of these little purges, but also seeing some of the things I've had the opportunity to do. And man, I look back over the years, whether it was when I started in finance and then, transitioned into the firearms business, traveled, the friends I've made, the things I've done. I've had an awesome, awesome time. Semi-Auto Kid, I've been moving for about 3 months. Where have you been? Sometimes, Semi-Auto, I wonder if you pay attention. I do. I question it. Do you smoke pot, Semi-Auto Kid? Something tells me you're a bit of a pothead. But I'm not sure. I wanted to touch on one other topic that came out in the news. Apparently, our good friend, and this episode's open-ended. So, Frenny, if you get good reception and you want to do your Serpa Holster rant, you can do that. Jesse Smollett got brought up on 16 felony counts, and whoa, did they throw the book at him? Whoa. Wow. I was surprised. I was taken aback. They're not holding back, and I am very surprised that that's happening, though, in Chicago. Very surprised. Very surprised. Yeah, he's not going to get 64 years, Semi-Auto Kid. He's gonna get probably 18 months. He'll do 6, maybe 3, maybe house arrest. He's not going to get. Nobody was killed. Nobody was harmed, but he is going to take a little bit more than a slap on the wrist. It's his first offense. I don't think he has any other offenses. They'll beat it down and beat it down. You know what I mean? He'll probably, and honestly, he'll probably plea out. He's not going to want to see a courtroom unless he pleads not guilty. I could see him pleading guilty to something like conspiracy. Yeah, he's going to get a slap on the Bichadel. That's what it's going to be. I think he'll plead down when push comes to shove, because he's not going to want to take that to a courtroom. And no attorney, if his attorney has him take that to court, his attorney should be fired. Fired. There's no way. That should not be. Absolutely not. I would be shocked, chagrined, and mortified if his attorney allows that to go to that level. I will be like blown out of my fucking shoes if that happens, because there's no way. Yeah, it's not even going to be so much about admitting he's wrong. That it's going to be more about him. It's going to be more about him having. How do I put this? The wherewithal to take a plea that's going to be like a gentleman's plea, where he might not plead guilty to the whole thing. It might be conspiracy. It might be some act associated with it. It's going to be one of those deals. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those deals, and that's what I think you're going to see happen. So we'll see. I don't foresee it being a full-on admission, although you never know. Depends how far they go with him. You never know. I also last week, had the liberty of doing that little bit of a Canic breakdown. So I did a breakdown on the Canic pistol. I was excited about that. I know a lot of you guys got a chance to see that and have seen that. I will be uploading a video that's going to have a lot to do with the contest. That's going to be a review of the Canic. It's not necessarily a review. It's a little more like a glorified unboxing. I don't do reviews. If you want reviews, go see, Mac. Go watch Military Arms channel. He's way better at it than I am. Go watch Hickok 45. They're way better at it than I am. I'm not a review guy. I don't think that highly of myself to be doing reviews. Not that those guys are bad. They're just way better at it than me. I mean that sincerely. There's zero sarcasm there's no shame in my game with that. So some guys are just really good. That's their shtick. But I'm just going to put it up as more of a glorified unboxing. But some people love reviews. They're good at them. I don't do them. I'll give you my take on how to do things or what makes sense. So that's my rant about the Canic pistol. That's my rant about Jesse Smollett. That's my rant about the theft of my hamburger. I wouldn't be great at reviews, Semi-Auto Kid, because my opinions, I don't mind giving people my opinion when they ask, and I try to give a very educated 360, unbiased opinion on things, but I have my opinions. So I'm a big believer in, painful honesty, and I tend to be painfully honest about things. So sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. But I ended up getting, getting some reasonable sleep Saturday night, which was good, and got up Sunday. And I actually made a deal with myself not to go to the gym and just kind of veg out, relax, continue packing. And that's when I had this aha moment packing. And I suddenly, had this little bit of a glow come over me where I felt really grateful. Really grateful. I spent some time working on the website. I have T-shirts up on the website, www.johnbartoloshow.com. I have hats going up on the website. I have a bunch of blogs that recently got placed on the website. So a lot of catching up. So if you guys want to participate and you want a chance to win the Canic pistol, that's going to happen next week. So you have to make sure your notifications are on. You have to make sure you're tuning in. And I am going to give the Canic away. I'm going to give 2 of them away probably at some point. But I just have to get my ducks in a row, and I have to get all the videos up and the edits, and I've been working feverishly to get all that stuff done. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little time, so I appreciate everybody being patient and everybody taking some time. But the more you participate, I'm watching, I'm paying attention. It's important. I try to answer every comment on YouTube. Someone's going to be the lucky comment. And I can't thank everyone for the time that they take. I hope everyone gets to check out the website. There's a Patreon, and I want to thank Cassie. Okay, so people who, Cassie wins a lot of contests. She's been very lucky. Cassie was the first person to go over and donate $2 to the Patreon. And I didn't do the Patreon, you guys, because when I started Podbean, they offer you Patreon. So I clicked it and I filled everything out. And, I was like, let me do this Patreon and let me see what this is all about. So I did the Patreon, and I'm not doing the Patreon to turn a profit. And I had a talk with Cassie before she decided to do a little donation to it. And I say, Cass, I'm not doing this to make money. I started the Patreon as a monthly thing to just cover the costs, the bare costs of the podcast. And I break the costs down in the Patreon deal. So my goal is about $250 a month on the Patreon. And Cassie was first in. So, whether it's $1 or $2 people give to the Patreon, and that's available through Podbean, and I'm not advertising it like crazy. If people happen to go over and people happen to sign up, more power to the cause. But if you're familiar with podcasting, and if you want to do a quality podcast or you want to do a quality stream, there are some costs involved. So whether it's $25 or it's $50 or whatever it is that is involved monthly, I have it at about $200 between everything. Whether that's email lists, whether that's, populating the contests, the expenses for mailing out prizes. The biggest expense, you guys, is mailing you guys the prizes. That's the biggest expense. The mail is a son of a bitch. So, every time I go to UPS, it's like $40 or $50 to mail out packages. So, trying to make sure that you guys understand that, and that was part of the reason for the Patreon. If it makes $50 a month, I'm happy. If it makes $100 a month, I'm happy. Yeah, it's just Dago, it's just some of the small hidden costs like Restream, internet, everything associated with the podcast. I want to keep delivering you guys really cool prizes. I don't see a problem with it, and I would tell anybody this that bitches. If I'm giving away, $400, $500, $600 a month in prizes, I don't see a problem with doing it at all. If I wasn't doing that, then I might have an issue with it. But I don't want to absorb all those costs all the time. But I know you guys want a shot at the prizes. And I think I've been more than good at giving prizes away and being more than liberal about that. So that's kind of where I stand on the whole Patreon thing, because I know how even our industry is. Yeah, you remember the hog hunt and everything. There's big overhead with a lot of that stuff. And when I go to these companies, it's time on the phone, it's time spent curating all the stuff, everything. So I want everybody to kind of realize I'm trying to be a sport about this. So I want to kind of clarify that. Addressing the whole Patreon thing was on my list of things to address with you guys. Now, as far as prizes go, I'm working on a good format to do these prizes. Eventually, I'd like to transition the podcast to almost be fully on YouTube, but I have to get you guys over to YouTube and get you guys over there more. I know it's a lot easier to do it from Instagram and have you guys kind of there, but I'd love to have you guys kind of come over to YouTube and be more engaged in YouTube. So the more engaged you are, the better chance you have to win, whether it's magazines or pistols or rifles or whatever it is I'm giving away. And I'm working on some other really cool stuff. And I'm working on some other really cool content. I'm going to be coming out with a whole subcategory that's going to be not necessarily reviews, more unboxings and commercials and why I chose products. And then I'm working on another subsection that's going to be top fives, because I really like doing top fives, in case you haven't noticed. And I'm trying to keep the podcast about topics that we enjoy talking about and talking through. So back to Dan Frenny's mental breakdown over the Serpa holster. So Frenny had a breakdown because he went training and somebody didn't have the right equipment. So I want to get to kind of the heart of this debate, because this is not uncommon in trainings. You go to trainings and people don't have, and thank you for tapping hearts, keep tapping. You go to trainings and people tend to be unprepared, or you get those guys at training that are over prepared. I tell everybody the same thing, you guys. Don't worry so much about what other people are doing. Don't worry so much about, the other people and what they have and don't have. I always, if you're going to a training for the first time, or even if you're going to the training with a department, I try to always go as far right as I can to the line, because most people are righties, so they extend this way. So it's easier for them to turn the gun this way, and it's hard for them to go that way. So I know I'm pretty well protected, because you get a lot of guys who tend to laser a little bit all around. And when you're on a range with people you don't know, it gets a little heady. I've been jaded because I've been on a lot of ranges that they're 360 degrees hot. And even some of your more seasoned Leo guys haven't been on a range like that. I've been on what I call like a dynamic range, where you have people getting physical and people striking. And I know Dan knows what I'm talking about, because he's trained with me. So he's been there. So when you're in those dynamic scenarios, it's a whole different ball game. You're not with Mom Pa Kettle at the local Woburn, fish and game or skeet and trap range. It's much more dynamic. You have people moving, shooting, every gun's hot. It's a different environment. And that's an environment I'm very used to. So now, when I go to very basic range days where it's just like going up and just setting up, yeah, they become like a little bit of a snooze fest, because you're used to a more dynamic range. So I hope everybody, understands, Dan is going through some of that, soul searching, where he's figuring it out, that everybody's going to be a little different. So there's, I understand what you're going through, friend. I get it. You got to kind of work with it. You can't get frustrated. You don't want to turn into that guy on the range. You have to be patient with people. Be patient. So I want to thank a couple companies too. If you may have noticed in my stories, I've been publishing some stuff from US Elite Gear. I now have a discount code with US Elite Gear. US Elite Gear is a website that was kind enough to give me a code that offers a discount. Okay, I believe it's Bartolo 10, if I recall, and I'll put the code up again for you guys that want to, take advantage. If you want to take advantage and you want to use the code, please go ahead. They have a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of stuff from Arc'teryx. One of the biggest companies that they have that I use is the products from Solomon, and they design their own Solomon boot. It's Bartolo 15. It's actually 15% off. So, you know, make sure you take some time to take a look at that, okay? That 15% off, guys, isn't forever. So if you head over to US Elite Gear, it's Bartolo 15, okay? So I'll put it in the subtext here. But if you want to check out some really cool stuff, check them out. I think they have one of the better websites out there for high-end products. But check them out. You notice I've always put Mark Bell's code in a lot of my stuff. Mark Bell, Slingshot, has been a longtime sponsor of mine. They make some of the best lifting wraps, if not the best lifting wraps, straps, and elbow cuffs and sleeves out on the market. So if you get the chance to check out Mark's stuff, please check them out. Check them out. Mark makes some of the best. But I hope everybody understands why I choose some of the companies I choose to work with, because they are very good, if not the best. So I'm adding them to the description in this post, and hopefully everyone gets a chance to take advantage of them. I get a very, very small kickback. In the essence of full disclosure to you guys, I get a very small kickback. And the only reason I'm bringing this stuff up and the Patreon is a lot of people have asked me ways they can help with the podcast or what they can do. And I've been very honest about ways you can do that. Okay? Any of these avenues are fun. They're easy. I'm not trying to get rich on them. I don't view them as getting rich. They're really just chances and ways for you to get a little bit of a discount. So check them out. Participate. Get involved. If you want to help, that's how you help. But hopefully everybody understands I'm not asking you to. I'm just giving you a solution and a way to participate. Any of those will be more than accepted avenues. I do want to thank the regular sponsors, Riton Optics, Kenzies Optics, Taurus USA, Crossbreed Holsters. Head over to them, thank them, Vortex. You know, anytime you guys head over and thank those guys, it goes a long way. So it means a lot. So participate and stay active with all that stuff. But when you guys DM me and people ask about the Patreon or they ask about this, I don't push a lot of that stuff. I don't push it. It's not stuff I try to push guys to actively engage in. I will push the Patreon a little bit coming up with the Canic Pistol giveaway, because I think that it's a good way to defray some of the costs and some of the stuff, and there are real costs involved. And hopefully everybody understands where I'm coming from with that. So I'll put the Patreon in the description. But if you want to, you're welcome to get involved with it. If you don't want to, don't. I won't hold it against you. I might hold it against you in the Canic giveaway, but I won't hold it against you. I will be doing probably a couple exclusive giveaways to the Patreons only. That's where it'll be held against you, simply because if we get 20 Patreons, I'm going to do something nice for them. But that's where I'm coming from with that. otherwise, I hope everybody's good. I hope everybody understands. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. I know Monday we'll be back to regularly scheduled. And we'll be going live then. I hope everybody's great. Tune in soon. Thank the sponsors. And if you want a chance to win the Canic Pistol, make sure you share the iTunes. Make sure you share the YouTube. Thank you to everybody in YouTube because we're simultaneously live on all the channels. And I appreciate everybody's time who participated in the YouTube giveaway. So I will talk to you guys soon, and I'm going to sign off. We are out.